What is up, Ravens flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome everyone to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with my co-host James Haskell. And in this episode, we're going to announce the exciting news about our QB getting back after it and ready to chase this title, Jimbo. But before we get into it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and we will keep you up to date on all your Ravens news. But Jimbo, let the people know why we are excited, especially about this video.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that you guys, at this point, if you're a Ravens fan, you've probably seen Lamar Jackson throwing with a number of receivers. Two that that have been identified to us being Rashod Bateman and James Prochet. But what I'm most excited about is not only that he's working with his team, but the way he's looking. Mm-hmm. Lamar Jackson is moving around like Lamar Jackson does. He's not, that last video we saw of him, he was on the Bermuda grass at the castle, hobbling through practice.
Yep.
Right. But now he's looking full speed. He's looking good. Obviously, he's just in, pants and a t-shirt. There's no pads or it's not live action, but just the movement that he has looks really good. So that absolutely has me excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's nice to see him putting work in the off season. But, so what are you excited about? What got you? Was that the same thing that you got excited about, Glenn? Was there something else that?
No, I mean, yeah, certainly the health was the big thing, right? Yeah, now, there was no doubt that this was going to, there was no worry that this would be some lingering injury that would impede his offseason progress. But here's what's exciting is, and we already knew that Lamar is a worker, but he said, John Harbaugh mentioned, I think it was either John or Eric DeCosta said that when they last spoke to Lamar, he made the statement that he was going to get back after it after the Super Bowl was over. Yep. That's kind of his timeline. Which makes sense. I mean, no problem with giving your body a little bit of a rest after, what they put their bodies through. And right on time, as soon as that Super Bowl was over, sure enough, boom, here come the videos of him getting back to work. So it's nice to see that he's continuing to work on his craft. But you mentioned a couple guys in the video. There's also rumor that maybe Benjamin Victor was also out there working, who, of course, is signed to a futures deal with the Ravens. So very much a part of this team and the future of this team, but also out there. I believe his name is pronounced Adam Dodo, and he is part of the Tom House team, the quarterback guru Tom House, who's worked with pretty much all of the legendary great quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Adam is, one of his disciples or one of his, it certainly works with him and has worked with his own group of very successful quarterbacks. And it looks like Lamar made that switch last year to go from his previous coach, Joshua Harris, who we love and have had on the show many a times, and has switched to go with Tom House's team, and particularly with Adam, and right front and center with his hat backwards, shades on, and the ball zipping right over his head is Adam, watching everything that Lamar's doing. So there is no doubt that he is already back in the lab, and he is working to improve and get better, because I'm sure he was probably not thrilled having to watch another Super Bowl and can't wait to get in one himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point you make there. But I want to add on to that and say one of the things that I was happy to see in the video that I was a bit concerned about was Lamar Jackson developing chemistry with one Rashod Bateman. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that Rashod Bateman is set to be our X, like our traditional number one guy. Mm-hmm. As far as wide receiver goes, I think, at the end of the day, the number one will always be Mark Andrews till he's not a football player anymore at this point, or, he just can't do what he does now. But as far as wide receivers go, I think that Rashod Bateman will step into that role. And with that being said, and with Lamar Jackson being such close friends with Hollywood Brown, not that he would not want to work out with Rashod or anything like that. But I was a bit concerned about their chemistry, because when Lamar was on the field and Rashod was on the field, it was different in comparison to when Tyler was on the field and Rashod were on the field. Mm-hmm. Like, Rashod's target count went up significantly when Tyler Huntley was the quarterback. And so that made me a little concerned. So I'm happy to see that it's Rashod Bateman of all the guys that it could be. However, something that I did not expect is also worth talking about. I have not seen, and I could be totally wrong. Now, on Hollywood Brown's Instagram, let me just fill you guys in real quick. On Hollywood Brown's Instagram, there's still a picture of him and Lamar Jackson doing whatever they do. I'm trying to figure out if so this was April 23rd, 2021. So we're talking about a while ago, and that's the most recent picture he has with Lamar. I have not seen a picture of Lamar Jackson, of Hollywood Brown, a video of Lamar Jackson, Hollywood Brown, and certainly Hollywood Brown is not on the field as one of those wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a conversation? Like, is it possible that there's a rift between these two? Is it possible that the IG thing maybe had something to do with that? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's at least worth discussing when you consider the fact that they're so close. They call each other their best friend, and traditionally, in years past in the offseason, we saw them two playing pickup ball in the middle of a Dick's Sporting Goods. We've seen these guys constantly getting ran into by fans at gas stations, and they seem always to be together. So while this could be absolutely nothing, it could be simply that Hollywood is spending time with his family in Florida or wherever, maybe he's on vacation, and Lamar is, and there could be no rift whatsoever. Or, you can point out that it is interesting that the one guy who's missing from, I guess not the one guy. There's more than one Ravens receiver that's not
there. But the
there.
one you would think is there is not there.
The one you would assume is at the top of the list. Okay, Hollywood's definitely there. Who else is there is usually how you start the sentence. So the fact that he's not there, it jumps out at you for sure.
And also, I don't care what anyone says, Hollywood Brown also has to be cognizant of the fact that he's not throwing with just Victor and just Bateman or just Prochet. Look, Rashod Bateman is set to be, in a lot of people's eyes, the biggest dog in the room when it comes to the wide receiver room. So, it's not just that he's not there. It's also the presence of the fact that Rashod's there without him. Because now he's got to, he wants to make money. He wants to be a productive player. Mm-hmm. He's got a little bit of competition when it comes to target share, the most he's ever had at the wide receiver position, in my opinion.
That's very true. Now, if I was talking to Hollywood, what I would say is, I think you should feel pretty confident and safe in what you already have. Every year, your targets have gone up. Every year, pretty much every statistical category has gone up. And in fact, he was 9th in the league this year in targets with 145. So if you can be 9th in the league in targets on a team that's traditionally a more run-first team than pass, then I think you're doing okay with targets, and you might welcome some help on the other side to maybe relieve some pressure and allow you some more space to do what you do. So I would hope that he's not, looking at that as, I mean, while it is competition, it's
certainly they're going to work together. Right. They'll work together and be on the same team and things like that. But at the same time, if you want 145, targets, you better get your butt out there.
Yeah, no doubt. You got to get out there. Now, that was a very small sample size and where we had Bateman and Lamar both on the field. So we don't really know how that target share will be divvied up because it was only like a couple games where both their playing times overlap.
Well, I can tell you. Small. I can just tell you. I mean, that's why we're all here.
Of course.
Right?
Of course. We're here for the insight of James Haskell.
There's absolutely 0% chance that he gets another 145 targets. 0% chance.
That's an awfully high amount of targets for any receiver in Ravens history.
And I'll say this. I would okay. You got to give me some time before I make a bet on this. But I'm thinking about doing, we can come up with a wager. I don't know. I don't want it to be all on me this time. However, I will say I feel pretty good that Hollywood Brown will not have the same number of receptions and volume of receptions as he did last year. I don't know if I'm ready to say yards or touchdowns or anything like that, but
I bet.
When it comes to receptions, because like you said, Bateman is going to benefit him if it works out properly in I think the impact of each catch he has. Yeah. Having opened up the field for him, I think that there's a possibility he can have a bigger impact. But I feel pretty good that he's not going to have the same amount of receptions or target.
Yeah. I mean, that's okay. Yeah, that may be a safe bet. Targets, I think, is definitely a safe bet. But yeah, I mean, so either way, I guess the big thing is extremely happy to see Lamar back out there working with the Tom House crew and Adam, who's representing them there.
But we love Josh too. We love Josh.
Yeah, love Josh, and Yeah, disappointed to see him to change teams, but as far as changing his coach, we're a little disappointed, but we understand the lineage that is the Tom House crew,
Sure.
and we
Kind
understand
of
that
hard to deny.
yeah, it's pretty hard to deny, their success in the system that they run. But excited to see. I mean, look, James Prochet proved last year that he's a hell of a worker, and from the videos I've seen him running hills. I've seen him, out there with Lamar. It looks like that work ethic is not something that was a flash in the pan. So nice to see him out there. Of course, like we mentioned, Bateman and Lamar's playing time, even in practice, because of the early injury to Bateman in training camp, they didn't see a lot of time together. So the fact that they're building that chemistry away from the team, because of course right now the team can't say, hey, Lamar, why don't you organize? This is all between Lamar and the receivers. This isn't something the team can organize. They're not allowed to do that.
Right.
So the fact that they're doing this on their own, Lamar could throw to, anybody. He could just go on Instagram and say, need receivers, meet me at this park. I don't care where he is. There will be 1,000 dudes ready to catch balls. He's choosing to work with his guys. And I think that, that chemistry could prove to be invaluable when the season comes around. And doing stuff in February, there's no doubt that it'll pay off when November and December and January come.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, a lot of things to be excited about here. And number one, just like you mentioned, the health of Lamar Jackson. But let us know what you guys think. Obviously, I'm sure if you're watching the show, you're a Ravens fan, so I'm sure you're happy to see Lamar Jackson out there running around. Looks like he's zipping the ball really well. But is there anything to be said about Hollywood not being there? Doesn't seem to be around. We saw Lamar hanging out with some other guys. Hollywood doesn't seem to be there where you would.
His cousin does, though.
Right. And you would naturally think he's there, right?
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, exactly.
He's hanging out with Antonio Brown and not Marquise Brown?
Right. Seems a little off. Let us know what you guys think. Leave all your comments below and we'll talk.